there, it's Michelle from CNC Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand. And today I'd like to show you how to do a lovely card using the Nothing's Better Than stamp set. I've also got a video that I've done recently showing how to make a Cookie Monster card using the same stamp set. So if you're interested in seeing another one using the cookies, have a look at that. So I've already done cards with the cocktails. So cocktails because adulting is hard. And then just a little strip of DSP in the inside. And then this one is Today's Plan, Consume Chocolate, with a couple different lovely looking pieces of chocolate. And these were made using the Flowers for Every Season designer series paper. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to make a similar card to this, but this time I'm going to change it up and make it with coffee, so you can see how the different designs that you can do with this. So those are the designs I'm going to work with, and let's get started. So I'm using the Nothing's Better Than stamp set. I'm using the coffee cup, the inside for the coffee, and some of the words from this set. I'm also using the Love You More Than die set. I'll be using the die for the word coffee and the die to cut out the coffee cups to have on the front. The other new product that I'll be using is the, what's this called? Lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch. So this is one of the first ones Stampin' Up! Has come out with that actually gives you 6 different sizes from the same punch, and they have 2 different ends, so 2 different like profiles that you can have. These dotted lines, if you see that, that doesn't mean that there's any stitching. That just shows you the different widths you can have. So you can have half a center, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, or 1 inch width on your labels. These cards that I've already done, they were with the 3/4 inch width. Today I'm going to go with the skinniest one, which is half an inch because of the words that I'm going to use on this card. So I'll show you how to use that and give you some tips on using that as well. And the colors, I'm going to stick with the same colors I used for the chocolate. So it's Early Espresso for the outline, Crumb Cake for the inside, as well as Cinnamon Cider is what I use for the words on here. So let's get started. I'll move these out of the way. So you start with your standard card base. So whatever country you're in, here in New Zealand, it's an A6 card base. So it's an A4 cut in half, giving you an A5 size piece, and then you score it down the middle to give you your base. This is the, I believe that might be the Bumblebee color there. And then I'm using a piece from the designer series paper, Flowers for Every Season. And when I designed the card, I just thought the floral was just a bit too busy on the background of the front of it. So I'm going to show you how you can get more use out of your designer series paper, because we're actually going to use the background as well. And then you need a piece of Whisper White cardstock for the inside, and a couple scrap pieces to cut your coffee cup or cocktail or chocolate or even cookies, whatever you're going to cut out. You need some scrap Whisper White for that. And I have a half an inch piece of Whisper White to do my sentiment. So you want it much longer than whatever words you're going to have, and I'm going to show you the tips on using this punch to get the right size. Now this paper comes in 6 by 6 inch squares. So when I cut it down, it's 10 centimeters wide, which is about 4 inches wide, and it's 14.3 centimeters long. And then I cut the bottom part off because it was too long, but instead of throwing that away, I've kept it so I can use it at the bottom of the card stock and the inside, just to give some interest to the inside of the card. So this one, in order to use both sides of the designer series paper, I'm using the second largest of the stitched rectangle framelit, so I'm going to die cut that out and then I'm going to flip it. When you're die cutting anything that is square or rectangular, you want to do it at an angle because then that'll give you better pressure when it goes over the die to cut it. You may have noticed if you've used dies before and you run it through this way, you don't get very good pressure on the top and the bottom, and sometimes it doesn't cut out. Some people run it through and then turn it sideways onto the plate and run it through again to die cut it to get those. But if you run it through at an angle, it works fine. And sometimes it's too wide to turn it sideways on your plate. So I'll be cutting that through. But before I do that, I want to get the other pieces ready. So on the cards here, I decided just to go with the white for the words because I thought it stood out more. I had experimented with coloring them in to match it, but being on the solid color, I found white just made it jump out at you better. So I'll be die cutting the word coffee on a bit of the scrap, and then I need a couple coffee cups. So I'm going to probably do 2 or 3 coffee cups. I haven't decided how many to do on the front. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You could either do the outline first and then try to line up the center, or you could do the center and then line up the outline. So I will show you both ways of doing it, and we'll see which one I prefer. I haven't actually used this stamp yet. Now see, I put a bit too much pressure in the middle and you got some ink in the center. If you're good and don't push too hard, that won't go through. Let's see how good I am. If you're not good, then clean it before you press it down. There we go. So I didn't get that on there, which is what you should expect from a good demonstrator. So I'm just going to clean it in case I put too much pressure next time around. So that's the method of doing the outline, and then we'll do fill it in. This is crumb cake, so I will fill it in with crumb cake, which is a bit dry. I need to re-ink my crumb cake. And so for this, you really need to look right over the top to fill it in. So trying to look over the top and go straight down. So that's not too bad. I filled it in pretty well, which is good. Now I'm going to do a different color because people have different coffee choices. So I'm going to use the cinnamon cider. And this time I'll try it the other way around. So I will be die cutting these, so I want to have a little bit of space. Now see, my cinnamon cider is a brand new pad, and see how juicy that is? So I do want to have a bit of space away from the other pieces to be able to die cut it. And actually there's a handle on there, so we'll go this way and see how it comes out. So that's quite a dark color. Darker than what I was really wanting. So let's get some early espresso. So now it's the trying to line up the outline over the center part. Let's see which one looks better in the end. Trouble is, you really have to be over the top as you do this. Oh, I did pretty good there too. Whoa! Okay, so I'm gonna do one more because need lots of coffee in the morning. So just tap it a few times. This time I'm just going to turn it around to do it this way. So I got room for my handle. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So there's my early espresso outline. And with these coffee cups, you could even have tea or hot chocolate, whatever you want. So you could do several different colors if you'd like. So I think I will now try the cinnamon cider, but I don't want it that dark, so I will grab a scrap piece of paper to stamp off. So I got it, it's very juicy, so I'm just going to stamp off on a piece of scrap paper. So stamp off once, straight up, and then let's see. Well, that actually kind of didn't come off very well. Let's try that again. So I'm going to stamp off, and then again try to line it up right in the center. Now if you can't do the lining up, these lend themselves very nicely to just coloring it in, so you can color it in. There we go. So I've got like 3 different types of coffee, depending on if you like it strong, weak, however you like your coffee. And I'll leave the cinnamon cider out because I want to do my words. So I'd say that's like a strong coffee, that's a latte, and that's might even be a cinnamon tea. Now I want to do my words. Now the tip I have for you for doing the triple banner punch is, well, first of all, unlock it on the back. Choose whichever end you want. I want to go with the floral end. Once you have your paper cut to size, press it all the way in. Now, sometimes when you press it in, it wobbles a bit, so I like to actually turn it upside down and I'm holding it in place with my finger because, see, it could wobble and cut not the straight how you want it. So then punch it, keep that piece that you punched out, and now I can stamp it, and I know how close I am to the edge. So I've got my edge there. So I'm going to stamp the words. The words I'm going with is a day without. So I'm going to stamp those fairly close to that edge, as straight as I can possibly do. There we go. Straight as possible. And then I'll just close my cinnamon cider so I don't accidentally go somewhere else. So now, to figure out how far to have your paper sticking out before you put it in the punch, if you take that piece that you've already punched out and you line it up on the opposite side, so see how I've lined it up, and you figure out, oh, I want it to be right about there. You can make a little mark with a pencil. Don't worry, you won't be seeing that pencil mark, so decide how wide you want your words to be. So say I want it that wide. See if I can do this in midair. And then just draw a line where that straight edge is. So when I put it through the punch, it will basically punch out that much over there. So now I'm going to snip that off at the line. So I'm going to snip that off at the line. And when I put it in the punch, I could even turn it over so I can see the words as I do it. So I'll put it in the punch. I'm going to hold it in place. Try to hold it in place. Okay, that one's a bit skinny. So the other thing you need to do is get some tweezers. So just bear with me. So if your words are rather skinny, like in that case my words are skinny, you could either put a Post-it note on the end or use some tweezers. Oh, got some cinnamon cider on it. Slide it through all the way to the end. Line it up, make sure it's lined up where you want it to be, and punch. And then when it comes out, you have it exactly cut within the words. That's the best way to do it. So when you do the first punch, save your little leftover piece to put on the other side to determine how long to cut that piece off. So that's your tip for using the punch. So now I'm going to cut these pieces out. But before I do that, I just realized I got a little bit more stamping. I'm going to stamp some words on the inside. And again, I'm going to go with the cinnamon cider. The reason I'm choosing cinnamon cider is because the center of the sunflowers here is cinnamon cider. So this paper here uses our new in colors. So we've got our Bumblebee, our cinnamon cider, and our Just Jade. And then that is the Midnight Moonlight, I believe it is. So this paper will showcase all four of the no, yeah, 4 of the 5 new in colors, because the only one you're not seeing is the pink, which is the Magenta Madness. So I'm just going to put some words on there. And I'm just going to pop those in the center for the inside of the card. And I think I might actually put another coffee cup on the inside too. So I think I might, yeah, I'll go with a coffee cup down the bottom. Except I forgot I was going to put my strip down the bottom. Yeah, I can still put my strip down there. Okay, so I'll be putting the strip down the bottom under the coffee cup. And then the inside of that coffee, I think I will go with my cinnamon cider. And we'll go with a full strength, see how that looks. Go. Oh, that's even darker. So that'll be on the inside of the card. So now I'm going to die cut the word coffee out of a scrap piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to die cut my coffee cups. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I've die cut the rectangle, and I've glued the bottom up there, and I've got some coffees. So let's get putting things together. So put the inside of the card, and just use some double-sided tape, tear and tape. And yes, I redid the inside because I discovered that that coffee was too far down for my liking. So I just flipped it over, which is why I always say make sure you stamp before you put things down, because you can always turn the page over and do it differently. Plus I thought that was a bit too dark, so I redid it. This time I stamped off. And the other thing is there's a cute little stamp that does the steam. Looks like the steam coming off the coffee, so I stamped that in Crumb Cake. So that ties in all the colors that were coming from the front of the card. And let's pop this down here. So whenever you do have something like designer series paper that you cut it to fit your card, keep the little extra bits, because you can use them to decorate the inside. You can also use them to make strips on other cards. I've got a video I did a while back showing what to do with all your little scrap strips from DSP and cardstock. So if you want to have ideas what to do with that, have a look at that other video. So the front, we have that. So it's better to put this on first, and then you can just slot that into the gap. Now for this, because it's so skinny on the edge, I'm just going to use some glue to put the DSP on. And so some people, I'm not sure if you're aware what DSP means. It actually means designer series paper, because it's paper with a lovely design on it. And usually there's a series, like this one is the flowers for every season. Some people think DSP means double-sided. Well, for Stampin' Up, it usually does, because as you can see, there's images on both sides of the paper. So you can call it either way you want, but it is called designer series paper, and sometimes there's specialty designer series paper. Specialty paper usually has some sort of extra element to it, usually like a bit of foil in it, so one side will be plain but the other side will have some foiling. And some specialty paper is quite thick and it ends up being only single-sided because it has a special effect on one side that would go through if you tried to put a design on the back side. So that's why it's actually designer series paper, not double-sided paper, because there are those times where you won't be able to have a double side to it. So the only issue with using the stitched rectangles with this, you could use any rectangle you want, is when you turn it over, the stitching here is pushing up. It's not going in, so you don't get as good of a look there where you have on that side. So when you do die cut it, you might want to think about which area you want this nice stitching to show. For here, I figure people aren't going to look that closely, so it doesn't really matter. So we will stick that down. And again, I'm going to do the tabs, just so if it doesn't align right, I can pull it up and readjust it. I didn't use the tear and tape on the outside edge because it was just so thin here that the tape would have hung over and gotten more in the way. And because this is not a directional piece on this side, it doesn't matter where I put it. If you are using paper that has a direction to it, keep in mind when you're cutting it to cut it the way you want and how it's going to look with the direction. So now here I'm just going to stick it right in the inside what I've already cut out. It should fit perfectly. And pull those tabs out. So that just gives a better layout than if I were to put this with the busy colors on the background. You could just put a solid piece in there. So this I'm going to pop up with dimensionals, but I'm going to put a few of the little color enamel dots on it. And I think I might go with the Just Jade to bring in that color. So you could use your pick a tool or your nails, or if you've got your scissors. It's best if you try to bend them up to get the underneath of them, to get the sticky off the underneath, and just in the sides. This punch lends itself quite nicely to having elements put in the edges of it, because it's got that little curved bit. I probably should have had more space for my words, and then it probably look a bit better, but I hadn't done this one before. So the back of it, because it's so skinny, I'm going to use the mini dimensionals, and I restamped it because I smudged that side. That's a nice thing, you can restamp if you get smudges. So a few mini dimensionals. If you don't have the minis, I'd say cut your regular dimensionals in half. And I'll leave that for now because I'm going to design where I want things to go. So that will probably be up there. A day without coffee, and I might just pop the coffees up. Kind of thinking how I want a day without coffee. Could change it up and have it a day without coffee and have that there. And then line them all up. I was thinking sideways would have been good, but I've already put the inside in. So, can't go sideways, so could just do maybe stacking them. Maybe pop those in the middle. Yeah, I think I'm still liking the words on the bottom. So I'm going to put the words down first and then layer it up from there. So just a little bit of a glue on here. If you have the adhesive sheets, you could do that. Put the cardstock on the adhesive sheet before you put it through the die cutting machine, and that way you could just peel the adhesive off the back. I don't have the current adhesive sheets. I had the ones we used to sell, and I use them so much I've run out. So I'm waiting for my order to come through to get the new adhesive sheets. But you only just need it in the big parts. So kind of center that best I can. And then I'll pop that up the top, and then I'll fill in the middle with my coffee cups. So I'm trying to give it about the same amount of space between the top and the bottom. Center it best I can. I usually do things crooked. So I'm thinking, maybe I'll put the dark one on the back. Yeah, I think I like that better. So I think I'll glue that one down. So I'll glue that one in place, kind of central. And these other ones I will pop up. Seem to be doing everything crooked today. So I could use the mini, but they're big enough. I can just pop one normal dimensional right in the center. And pop those up. Maybe pop that up like there. And because who can go a whole day with just one coffee? I know I can't. Okay, so I believe that's my card done. So it's basically the same idea for the other two, except you used the other stamps. There are the centers that can, the little bits that can stamp the solid parts of everything, or you could just use pens and color it. However, if you colored, you would not get the ice cubes showing here. So there's a lovely solid stamp that leaves that out, so it looks like the ice cubes for the cocktail. The other ones are quite small, so if you're having trouble lining those up, you can just simply color them in. So those are 3 styles, and you could even put cookies in there because we do have the cookies and they cut out. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, showing you how to use our new punch, our Nothing's Better Than stamp set, and Love You More Than Words dies. And have a look out in the future for some more videos showing you how to make some cards with this set. I've got another one planned out, so make sure you subscribe, and so you will be able to see future cards, as well as if you want, go have a look at my blog. I put blogs about the things that I make with the measurements. I will be putting a list of the products used below this video, so you can look there for the products if you want to purchase them to duplicate any of these cards. If you live in New Zealand and you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, you're welcome to go to my website, michellekritchley.stampinup.net, and you can have a look at all the products there. You can order directly from my website to get sent to you anywhere in New Zealand, or you can also find my contact details there if you want to send me a message. Please give me a thumbs up, and if there's anything else you'd like to see me make, let me know in the comments or send me a message, because I'm always looking for ideas of things to create. I hope you've enjoyed that project today, and you have a lovely day. Bye!